Do you have a bold prediction or a bold take for
I
this
do.
season?
I do. And it's not a popular one, I'll tell you that. I've had a lot of slack for this one, but I'm sticking to it. I can see a situation where the Kansas City Chiefs finished last in the AFC West. I can just see it.
Wow.
Yeah, everywhere I look, I'm seeing Kansas City winning the division. Don't get me wrong, Andy Reid is a mastermind. We know
Hmm.
that, and Patrick Mahomes is also an amazing quarterback. Um, but we saw towards the end of last season and point through last season, they didn't start very well, and they still
Hmm.
had the likes of Kelsey. They had it MVS. They did. They had Tyreek Hill, who's now with the Miami Dolphins, and I mean, for me, Tyreek Hill being traded to the Dolphins is a huge, huge, huge deal
Yeah.
because whether or not Tyreek Hill is being targeted, he draws double,
Hmm.
triple coverage because he is a game changer. He wins games at the click of a finger. You don't have him anymore. You do have guys like MVS, like you've mentioned, Juju Smith-Schuster, who's coming off that horrific shoulder injury. I'm sorry, I just don't think that's enough.
Hmm.
That's not enough. I mean, again, Andy Reid is great, and I'm sure they'll find a way to get guys the ball. Um, I just don't think that's someone who's he's irreplaceable. So kind of in the same way that Aaron Rodgers lost Devontae Adams, as he says, or as Adams says, from one Hall of Famer to another. Um, I just find it too much of a loss to try and to work around this one. They'll win games. Don't get me wrong. They've lost Tyron Matthew as well. Who's gone to the Saints. That's another big
Hmm.
deal. So yeah, I can see that situation. The Raiders have improved. The Broncos have massively improved.
Yeah.
And the Chargers, the defense speaks volumes. So I can see it happening. Not a lot of people will agree with that, but I can see a situation where they finish last in the AFC West.
Wow, that's crazy because I'm not, I don't have enough, guts to put him last because it's just Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis
Yeah,
Kelsey. I just, I think they'll probably get second, but even that's not really much of a bold prediction. But I think my bold prediction, and I think most people wouldn't really say this is a bold prediction, but I'm going to say the Cowboys just don't make the playoffs, as I mentioned earlier. I don't
mm,
trust the Cowboys ever. I don't think McCarthy's a bad coach. I just can't trust the Cowboys because it's the Cowboys, right? They're not the Cowboys of the
yeah,
90s, which I don't remember because I wasn't around then. So I just
yeah,
I can't really see the Cowboys, and maybe the Eagles winning a playoff game is also a bold prediction, as I mentioned earlier. I think Kyler Murray is going to win the MVP. That's probably a bolder prediction than anything else. But I mean, your prediction is surprising because I just don't have enough guts to say the Chiefs aren't going to make the playoffs. Because I
yeah.
mean,
Hey,
but
I gotta go bold, right?
yeah. But yeah, the loss with Tyron Matthews huge. I mean, they replaced him with
Mm.
Justin Reed, but Tyron Matthews is probably still a top three safety. So to
Oh
lose
yeah,
a guy like Tyron Matthews huge. Um, but we'll see what the Chiefs do. I mean, the AFC has gotten better and the Chiefs have gotten worse.
hmm,
So we'll see. It's
yeah,
definitely going to be an entertaining season, that's for sure. So
yeah.
before we end the interview, and do you have a Super Bowl prediction?
I do. And I'm actually I mean, the Bills. I'll put the Bills in there. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
any doubt. I mean, again, you look back at the game that they played with Kansas and the whole coin toss drama and everything like that. The Bills are just, they're firepower. Josh Allen does a lot for them. And he will get them to the Super Bowl, and their defense has only gotten stronger, in my opinion. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't have any issues there. On the other side of the ball, I'm going between the Bucks and the Rams.
Yeah.
For me, I like what the Rams are doing. Again, they've got everybody back. They've lost Von Miller, obviously. Um, but for me, they've signed from the Bears Khalil Mack, obviously, but they need to. I don't know. Is he at the was it at the Chargers?
Oh, he's the
No, Khalil Mack
Chargers.
he's at the Chargers. Yeah, they lost Von Miller. I just feel like obviously OBJ did a lot for them.
Mm-hmm. They got Babby Wagner
Yes,
too.
yes, they got Bobby Wagner too from the Seahawks, who is
Mm-hmm.
he's a baller through and through, part of the Legion of Doom, which is no more, but the Legion of Boom even. I just think the Rams have done it right. Stafford is such an underrated quarterback.
Yes.
He spent so many years with the Lions, and look how that turned out when you have pretty much just Megatron.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I like the Rams. Tampa, I find it hard to say that I can see a 45-year-old quarterback making it to the Super Bowl, but when it's Tom Brady, I don't think you can really doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
They've brought the entire squad back, apart from the likes of Ronald Jones is the quarterback I was thinking of earlier, and then Dominican Sue. So I can't really see it being any other team. I can't see it being the Packers. I think the Devontae Adams loss is huge. It's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely huge. I know you draft Watson. Um, you bring in I forget who else they've signed another wide receiver,
Sammy Watkins.
Sammy Watkins, who has been a bit, he hasn't really found his mojo going in
Mm-hmm.
the last few seasons. So I'd probably say the Bills versus the Tampa or the Rams. The Bengals won't make it back.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to say the Colts is my team, but I think we won't necessarily make it to the playoffs. I don't think so. So I reckon Bills and either Tampa or Rams. I'm not entirely sure yet. But again, all these teams are one injury away from that being from that collapsing. So
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the Colts, as you mentioned, you're a Colts fan. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they win the
yeah,
AFC South. I don't think the
yeah,
Titans make the playoffs. I just think that division is very mediocre. And I think the Colts
yeah,
have a great chance with adding a guy like Matt Ryan. And you already have Jonathan Taylor, a top 3 running back. You do have Michael Pittman, who I think is going to finally become that true number 1 receiver. Mo Ali
mm,
Cox, I think, is the number 1 tight end. The
yeah,
defense is scary, though. They already have DeForest
yeah, man.
Buckner. They added was it Chandler
Stephon
Jones or
Stephon
no,
Gilmore.
that was right. Yeah, they added
So
Stephon
Stephon
Gilmore.
Gilmore, Yannick Ngakoue from the
Yep, that was the
Raiders,
guy.
who I think is in top 3 quarterback pressures in the last
Mm-hmm.
however many years. We lost safety Corey Willis, but we got Justin Blackman back.
Yeah,
Nick
Kenny
Cross
Moore
is someone
too.
we've and Kenny Moore as well.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Wright, Rogers. I think we've got a very like low key, like solid defense
Yeah.
without a doubt. I think we're looking good. I do wish I'm not sure. The wide receiver room is my only concern for
Mm-hmm.
us Colts because obviously Hilton, whether or not he plays again, I think he's not so far off 10,000 yards as a Colt. So there's a lot of talk about bringing him back so we can sort of achieve that, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to win. We need to win now. So we've obviously drafted Alec Pierce, who I love. I think he's a great wide receiver, rookie wide receiver. You mentioned Michael Pittman. We've got a couple of sleepers that people aren't really paying attention to. Paris Campbell, because he's been injured pretty much every season, but he's
Mm-hmm.
healthy and he is a huge deep ball threat. Ashton Julian as well, who is another guy who mainly played special teams last season, but has been showing up at camp.
Yeah.
And obviously we've got the huge tight end that is Jelani Woods. We've got Ogletree as well. I mean, we've got options, but I feel like our wide receiver room could have been a bit better. You've got Reggie Wayne coaching them up. You can't ask for anything else,
Mm-hmm.
anything better than that. So, I mean, we're a great team. There's no reason we don't make the playoffs, but I think the Super Bowl is a bit of a push for us.
Yeah. And I think they probably go 11-6. Probably they have a chance to go in 12-5, but I think 11 and
Yeah.
6 sounds like a good record. But on the AFC side, I know I'm going to probably be a little biased because I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan, and the receiving core really scares me because Rashad Bateman's got to become that number 1 receiver right away. Devin Duvernay, I think,
Yeah.
is their number 1, which he's a great special teams guy, but I'm not sure he's a great number 1 receiver. But I have the Ravens at the moment, and then I think they take on the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers, Rams, or maybe the Packers is only the really scary teams in the NFC. And I think we see the Rams and Buccaneers in Arizona. But I think that's my Super Bowl prediction. We'll see if I actually get that right. I think last year I predicted the Ravens and Rams, and I was really close in the NFC, but I was terrible in the AFC. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see what ends up happening. And again, now that we pretty much got all the questions down, do you have anything else you want to add before we end the interview here?
No, I just think we're going to see a very different season,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because of the amount of injuries. I mean, you mentioned the Ravens as one of your favorites. They were decimated last season. I mean, I don't know how many running backs they went through. And with all the crazy changes this offseason, I mean, I felt like there was a period where every day there was a ridiculous piece of breaking news of a trade or a new deal, or it was just unreal, and everything just happened to be the AFC West.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you mentioned there's only really 3 teams in the NFC, and everything else is kind of like dead and buried. Which kind of it narrows it down quite a bit in terms of who the better teams are. But the AFC just continues to heat up. And you've got guys in situations like Kyler Murray with the whole removing of social media and the agent releasing a statement to now being paid this big deal to then being leaked about having to study an extra 4 hours. There's a lot of drama going on right now.
Yeah.
Obviously you've got the whole Deshaun Watson thing too. But I think the season is going to be, again, I say it every season. I think it'd probably be the greatest season to date. We've sorted out the overtime rules in terms of possessions. We won't have that fiasco anymore. I'm referring to Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, but I think it's going to be a lot of fireworks. I mean, you just look at the trades that have happened in your season and the people that have been drafted in the signings. It's going to be crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Town Podcast, or the STP Pod for short. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and much more. Also, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Sports Town Podcast. If you want to check out more videos of the Sports Town Podcast, click on the right.